Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a new launch for 2022, the second generation of Greubel Forsey sports watch. This is the Greubel Forsey Blancier Convexe Series 2 or S2. The timepiece is grade 5 titanium, and it's larger than the original 2020 Blancier S, whereas that watch was about 43.5 millimeters across the case and lug-to-lug. This one is 46.5 from lug-to-lug as well as across the case. The timepiece is also 15.6 millimeters thick. Now, being composed inside and out of grade 5 titanium with sapphire crystals on both sides, it is a very light watch. It should be noted that the movement itself is made of grade 5 tie, so this is one of the lightest 46 plus cases you will ever encounter. And on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see it actually wears pretty well. The bracelet gives it more presence than the equivalent watch on a strap, and as you can see, it's not a terribly thin watch, but it does fit on my wrist. This shot in particular will reveal that the edges of the case, which are more or less defined by the edge of the bezel, those edges are nowhere near the edge of my wrist. So I think even on a wrist of 15 centimeters circumference, you're going to be able to wear this watch, and it is very, very light. Now, it's grade 5 titanium, which comes with a few advantages. First, it's lighter than steel. Second, it's also more scratch resistant than steel. And unlike a lot of steels with high nickel content, it is also hypoallergenic. Now, this watch has Greubel Forsey's new integrated bracelet. You can see that there are some tonal and finish contrasts between the darker media blasted and satin finished components that are a bit lighter. There are also several different focal planes. You can see there's a little bit of polished highlighting on the edges of both the center and the flanking links, and the Greubel Forsey case hollows extend slightly into the links that trail the lug junction. Lots of nuance. You can see that there are removable links here, and that all the removal is done using mechanisms that are found underneath. So you can see every single link is subject to removal for ultra-precise sizing. Every single link can be removed to get the right fit here. That said, you have options. Internally, there is a multi-detent quick adjustment system. So the way this works is I use the system to move in and out incrementally to fine-tune fit. I have a thick gauge, single fold deployant. Let's get that little tag out of the way. It clicks shut, and you can see the Greubel Forsey logo out there. By the way, note satin finish, polish, and media blasting on just the clasp. Twin trigger release, so it cannot pop open accidentally. Now, this watch is well loomed and 100 meters water resistant, so it takes its sports watch credentials seriously. Let's do a quick loom shot here and get a look. And one of the requirements for the Series 2 was that it should be better loomed and more visible at night. Mission accomplished. Other changes include the larger case, a dial that boasts better contrast than the original Blancier S, and we also have larger indices that can be better read in both day and night conditions. And you could see that the bezel no longer features the super graphics or the French text describing Greubel Forsey's signature ethos, and I actually like the cleaner look here with a combination of satin and polish better than the previous one. You can also see that the interior of the case has been elaborately mirror polished, so you can see the reflection of many of the interior mechanical features such as the balance and the dial side escapement. The watch does feature a movement made of grade 5 titanium, so the titanium movement is elaborately hand-finished, and that level of finish is difficult to achieve on tie, which doesn't like to be wrought in fine ways. It likes big folds and big cuts. It doesn't like to be finished. Now, let's also explain that one of the advantages of this watch is exclusivity. Greubel Forsey only makes about 150 to 200 watches a year, and this watch, with the light gray dial, is the version of the Convexe Series 2 that will be made in 66 copies. So this will be made in 66 pieces between 2022 and 2025. So if you want to get one of the Blancier Convexe Series 2s, you're going to have to buy from a small pool of available stock issued each year between this year and 2025. It is a manual wind watch with twin stacked barrels, And you can see that there's a power reserve indicator at 2 o'clock. It has a 72-hour, 3-day power reserve. The balance is enormous, free-sprung, and inclined at 30 degrees. You can see the results of recessing the bolts on the balance. That helps to bring the bolts into the balance and out of the free airstream to reduce aerodynamic drag. It is an enormous balance, beating away at 21,600 vibrations per hour, and it uses its colossal inertia rather than a high beat rate to shake off, well, shakes. So a bump on the wrist is not as likely to cause a huge balance to deviate in timing, and that's why a huge balance is used. An overcoil hairspring is also used, so in any position on the wrist, this watch is going to be more inclined to keep even time than if it had a flat hairspring whose mass is more off-center. It is adjusted in 6 positions, which is the gold standard for high horology, and because of those variable inertia bolts on the rim and the free-sprung architecture, once the timing is set, it cannot be altered by shocks or concussions on the wrist. Now, Greubel Forsey hasn't entirely done away with the text that describes their philosophy en français. You could see much of it is on the barrel, saying this is an inclined balance. The balance is inclined at 30 degrees from Greubel Forsey. What else should be mentioned? Well, this movement is beautifully finished on both sides, and you can see on the case back, this is one of 66. I apologize for the glue from the sticker that had been on the case back. You can see that the watch includes a little bit more text on the reverse side, where you don't necessarily need to see it when it's on your wrist. The movement features grade 5 titanium bridges on the underside that have been frosted using the steel bristles of a wire brush. We also have this polished channel raised on the outside of each bridge. The number plate is made of white gold and lacquered internally. The wheels of the drivetrain are actually internally beveled, and externally the wheels are satinated. We have a polished mirror bevel on the outermost face of each of these bridges, and you can see that pivot jewels have been set in golden chaton, the way they would have been done on 19th century pocket watches made in Greubel Forsey's hometown of La Chaux-de-Fonds, where Greubel makes its 150 to 200 watches a year by hand. You can also see that this watch dial has incredible depth, and there's a lovely structure, a single-sided bridge bearing the motion works that allows you to set the time of this 100-meter water-resistant sports watch. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.